specifics that Steve came up with, which he was tasked with, so I don't know if you want to do that. I had sent the letter, and because I wanted to see if those folks were available to come for this evening, and it was a little bit of short notice, and the administrator had just gotten back, so I didn't know if the board, if the board's pleasure would be to have them perhaps on the docket for September. I know I had, Mary Louise O'Connor had sent a lot of those reports, recent reports and things to me in electronic file, so I forward them to you because they're quite copious.
I think it makes sense to wait till September. We're just, it's gonna be pretty busy next meeting, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That sounds good. The next work session meeting in
Yeah.
September.
Well, Thursday, so. No.
Because I won't be in October.
Oh, so did you want to come?
So I was just, if whatever that is, if you wanted to have it
That's
in
fine.
October, I won't be at your October work session to work on the master.
But you will be in September?
Probably.
Okay, so maybe we ought to reconsider. I don't know what you guys want to do, but it was just an informational.
It'd be October 1st or August 3rd.
October 1st.
Well,
September.
Yep.
Yeah, September 3rd would be the next one. And then October 1st, if we want to put it off when Tara's not going to be here.
Sounds good.
If that's your pleasure, then I'll just reconnect with Mary Louise and see if October 1st works for them, and we'll give them some time to really
Sure.
answer some of these questions.
But you would rework this a little bit and send it, right?
Yep.
So this wasn't what you sent them?
No, that's not the actual letter, but I can
Right.
get you a copy of the letter.
Oh, yeah, you sent me that.
Yeah.
You sent everybody
Yeah,
that.
I sent it to
Yeah.
Michael,
Okay.
you two as chairs, and I didn't happen to hear back from you, but Steve said it was okay, and I was trying to, get it in a timely manner to her for this date, so that's why it went out. But this is the gist of it.
Yours is nicer.
I get paid by the word, so.
So we can't do the review of the minutes, but we'll go right to new business. And Tara Bamford, planning coordinator, is going to do a presentation on the master plan process and talk about the visioning meeting that we had at the senior center.
And you folks have your documents, the rough notes that NCC
Yeah, I
took,
actually have a
and
less
then.
rough.
Oh, okay. Oh, yay. All right.
Oops, thank you. Ooh, it's color too.
Thanks, Tara.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Boards or into short. So most of this report is just those rough notes organized a little bit better and made to look done. There's nothing new or different except a couple of comments that people had written on those index cards that we didn't capture in the discussion. Those are now included in here too. So if you've looked at the notes from the session and you have kind of the gist of things, that you kind of organize the things that people said that they cared most about in town, and then you organize those into locally owned downtown businesses, ease of access to and from the community, and mix it downtown and rural area with natural beauty and local food, a sense of community, small town feel, connection with PSU and what it brings to the community. Downtown as a center for businesses and services, and that's a little bit different than, even though there's overlap with the issue of local businesses and the educational system. Then there were some other issues hanging out there that really didn't fall into one of those categories, and I've kind of grouped those into housing supply, which is separate from the conversion of single-family homes to student housing that the board is concerned about. energy efficiency, sustainability, and I called one economic base. I think, there was consensus that a need for a solid tax base and jobs for all pay scales. And there were several comments about zoning and code enforcement. So one thing I did want to say is I've done a whole bunch of workshops like this. This is one of two where people were the most positive about their community. Only in one other community have I heard people being so positive about where they live. I mean, the sense of that meeting was Plymouth has it all, has the rural environment, has the downtown, has the college, is easy to hop on the highway to go to Concord or Manchester or to the White Mountains. And I think that we want to make sure that the master plan reflects that and builds on it, as opposed to here is this laundry list of things we would change if we could. But focus on building on the positives and addressing the really very few trends that jumped out as concerns. We've heard that people still aren't entirely happy with traffic patterns in the downtown, and in fact there's a thought that through traffic might be cutting through some residential neighborhoods. There's a conversion of single-family homes to student housing, and there are a couple of concerns about Tenny Mountain Highway, which I know that you focused on in the corridor study for that we'll want to incorporate those recommendations. I'm not sure that the Tenny Mountain Highway corridor study looked at the impact on downtown businesses as opposed to just the traffic calming and access management.
Really,
and that's an issue that came up as I think a valid concern from the workshop.
I was just gonna say, we talk about Plymouth and we treat Tenny Mountain like a red-headed exception, but I was up in Littleton the other day, and all of the storefronts were all full, and all
Community as a whole. So we test some of those ideas in the survey. And on page 8 in the handout I gave you, I've just kind of off the top of my head going through this, some issues that pop out to me from this that we would want to talk about in the survey, some other data gathering needs that we'll do as part of the master plan process, and some recommendations to consider, that if I had to write the master plan today, here are some recommendations that seem to come out of that workshop to me. And with the survey is the next step, I want to talk about these in a little bit more detail. I think there are a couple things we can do to get at the downtown traffic. And one obviously is to look at the data that we have from counts and whatnot. But I think we might want to just ask people too what their take on it is. Do they see this happening? Do they do it? And if there are any possible changes to traffic patterns that the board has or the town has talked with DOT about, we could run those by the public in the survey.
Also, you should, I for one, like things the way they are in the downtown parking.
I think we should just go ahead and do a parking study. I just want to I'm trying to get an intern to help with your plan, and somebody right here that can go count.
Didn't Frank Miller do something like that?
Yeah.
Downtown.
He did a parking
within
study
the
and
last
stuff.
3 years or so.
It was thereabouts.
You sure?
Yeah,
I don't recall seeing it.
yeah.
Does
He's
anybody,
usually our public member that,
Okay.
has anybody ever
Adjunct.
counted the residential plates and the out-of-state plates in downtown Plymouth?
I think you'd have seasonal changes with that.
Right.
Now I think you'd get a lot more out-of-state plates.
So you were talking about behind Samaha's though, isn't that, like Rand's parking or something like that? It's kind of like leased?
No, it's
It's a kiosk.
it's paid
All right.
parking.
And then the parking extends beyond to the amphitheater?
There's a whole mismatch of different
Yeah.
types of, some is owned and rented.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Secondarily,
we would look at all that as part of our parking
Okay.
study. What's there, what's the town's,
Yeah.
and how is it used? Probably not in time for summer, but this fall
Because I think there was a
certainly.
question, wasn't there, about why the public parking down by the senior center wasn't better advertised? Well, there's
Right.
not a lot of public parking, that's,
Well,
oh,
and
that's great.
Go out and look at the parking spaces too, I think.
Steve, can I, to counter what you indicated as far as like slowing traffic down through town, I just want to get it out there, but it'll come out with a study, but last winter I was backing up into, the line of stores, and I got rear-ended by somebody who was like blowing their nose, didn't see me, and just
Yeah.
plowed right into me. So there may be like better solutions to how,
Right.
things might be set up, or better visibility, or I don't know, how you can arrange parking that would be.
Yeah, we'll look at the accident reports too.
You're talking, right in front of on Main Street?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I was near the cafe, the cafe, Monte Alto there, and I was just backing up into.
Yeah, it's like both people could be backing out into the same way, and
Yeah.
it's like the blind spots in the cars, it's,
And if you're parking next to like a larger vehicle, you have to like get pretty far out there
Right,
before you can
right,
actually
that's where
see
you get the
something.
T-bone back.
And we don't have the funding to look at things like the geometry yet, but we
Well,
can certainly have a student go out and count the usage and see.
That, and also maybe just check with PD to see how many,
Well,
accidents
accident
might.
reports I
How
have,
did-
Yeah, okay.
that data, yeah.
do we know anything about how Bristol did with their parking?
Downtown area?
They have to back into the parking spots for diagonal parking,
Oh,
That's
yeah?
right.
It was brand new after they redid their common. And I think it took people a lot of time to get used to it. No one liked it at first, but I haven't heard anything since that, and that was probably 2 years ago at least.
There are a couple of communities, that's a good thought to look into that.
Because that would solve a lot of problems on Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
Right, the whole concept of backing out into a busy road is
Yes.
a tough one.
Both sides
You
of
just
the
have to
street.
go inch by inch and hope that someone.
And hope
sees
someone
it.
short park
Yeah.
next to you. So I think we can also use the survey to test out some possible zoning changes if there are some, there's certainly some that were talked about in the recommendations of the last master plan that never went that the planning board never put forward. So, we can go through those and see if there are some that you still are interested in running by the public, and we could ask in the survey.
And Sharon, weren't you always saying that the zoning regulations are terrible? Well, in regard to
Well,
ambiguity, or?
they're patchwork quilt, and there's, some gaping holes and definitions, and, I mean, it.
Yeah,
it
that's not
really-
the kind of thing we'd
No,
ask
no,
in the
no,
survey.
it needs a total overhaul, comprehensive overhaul, but that wouldn't be anything that you'd accomplish here now. This would just be perhaps new zoning changes that would support
Changing the map,
recommendations.
basically.
Or
what you're talking
fix,
about.
yeah,
Or what's allowed where.
Right.
Yeah, what's allowed.
So we can look at that.
As Sharon pointed out, the
Um,
names of things, we were trying to like fit, square pegs and round holes type thing, and it's not working out.
You
so.
you can't quantify everything, because zoning is supposed to be somewhat flexible and interpretive by its nature, so that it can,
So this is a little bit of a side, sorry, Tara, to kind of steer this a little way. So how are we gonna fix what's wrong with the zoning regulations?
we're gonna have to get a grant to hire someone to help you folks.
Okay, so that's a separate
That's
project.
That's a huge project.
Yeah. Okay,
Maybe it's my next.
It
task.
could be,
Yeah.
it could be.
Specific conservation priorities might be something to put on the survey. I thought, pretty sure I heard that day that the current use transfer tax isn't going in a conservation fund. Is that right?
I don't know, that's not my bailiwick.
The what? The what?
It sounded like people were suggesting that the current use transfer tax go into a conservation fund, so that made me think it's not happening now.
I don't know.
We can find that out.
Find it out, because I
see
know
if there's
that
support
our
for it.
assessing department is usually right on things.
Yeah,
It's a lot of,
it's a town meeting action to
Okay.
earmark some of it, so we can find out about that and ask people if that's what they want.
there's an
It's not-
appropriation every year, correct, Bill?
Yeah.
For conservation.
Housing, there was some discussion about, that there's a lot of housing choice, but there isn't housing necessarily for, segments of the population. So we can put in a question that kind of gets at how well that fits. I was thinking in number 6 that we could kind of find out who's shopping where and for what. You know, have a question asking about who, you know, what kind of things do you get downtown and what do you get on Tenny Mountain, or do you shop somewhere other than Plymouth, and really kind of do the same for recreation resources. I think it would be interesting to kind of know what the market is for these various assets of the town. And, you know, we were gonna ask, are you a student, year-round resident, property owner, or whatnot, then we'll be able to kind of sort that out and see who's doing
Would it-
what.
would it-
I know that there was some concern about duplicating surveys. I was thinking it'd be as simple as numbering them when we send them out. We can just put consecutive numbers on the surveys.
You know, like when we have them printed, have them stamped.
Oh, yeah, I would definitely say
Yeah.
that's something that needs to be done, so you're not getting
Sure.
someone to get a survey
Right.
and then go to their photocopy machine and copy it.
Right, I've never heard of that happening, but if it's a concern,
Yeah,
I was
that would be
thinking I
easy
could
enough to
just like print a blank document that has page numbers and then copy the survey onto it.
Well, I think when we have them printed, we in a budget, we could take them to a professional printer and have them, you know,
Sequenced. whatever.
sequenced, yeah, that's the word.
So,
I think in our contract, we have to do that for you, but, so it'd be on our machine. But anyway, I think that's an easy thing. But that would let us kind of sort out, you know, who's
Well,
frequent in the businesses
It helps
where
the
and-
database, because you could do.
Yeah.
Is there any way I mean, we all know, because we can take a snapshot, just what we had, a mental snapshot, to list our businesses, just very roughly, like what's downtown, either side of the street, even categorically, you know, so many this, and perhaps would be something an intern could do when they're counting cars, just, you know, so we know how many restaurants we have downtown. I mean, do the simple math, but versus what we've got out on Tenny Mountain. I mean, that's just kind of a drive-by.
And that would help in the looking at the zoning.
Well, that's what
Right,
yeah.
how well does what's there fit what you're zoned
Couldn't
for, and is that
categorize
good or not?
what the restaurants are too, because
Yeah, we could
We're-
do
we-
subcategories,
we're-
types of, yeah.
we have a lot of restaurants, but they're all pizza places and
Well, right, it
Chinese
would,
food.
yeah, you could do subcategories if it warranted
We
it.
don't have any national like Applebee's or anything
No,
like that.
downtown,
Not even out in.
no. No, you don't, well,
That's
fast
the
food.
highway out here.
So another category I think we could use the survey for is asking about specific recreation facility needs. It seemed like some people brought up not having town ball fields other than, you know, for school use. If we do that, then I think you want to couple it with a willingness to pay question. You know, I think if you're gonna ask people
Right,
if
'cause
they
the
want
un-
something,
the
you need to
unfunded
ask if
mandate-
they're willingness
the
to
unfunded
pay,
mandate
right?
just doesn't work well.
Same idea for multi-use trails, rail trail, bike path, bike lane. It's fine for people to say, you know, and it was a visioning, anything goes kind of discussion, but when it comes to, are you
How do
willing to
you
have your
phrase
taxes
it? How do
go
you
up?
phrase
Sorry?
that question?
Would you be willing to pay for that in your taxes?
well,
That's how we usually phrase it.
I mean, yeah, are you willing to pay for it? But it could be the actual monies can be like derived from developers that might be.
Oh, you can
wanting
have some
to-
choices, sure. I mean, you can
Yeah.
have user fees, you
Right.
know, there's different ways to ask it, but
Some of the
I think you want to
developers-
ask it.
Some of the
Yeah,
developers
so
were
worth
willing to
money.
put all that stuff in.
Anything we're talking about that's gonna cost money, I think we wanna ask, you know, about, well, how do you wanna pay for that? Because I've done, I've had these surveys come out that people want something but aren't willing to pay, and
Well, that's the thing, it's
Do
like,
that.
increase in property tax, a bond, grant monies, I mean, because those are very
already just
categories
gonna say
of.
yes to grant monies, but.
Well,
there
right,
aren't
but
any for-
that, the secondary question on that is how realistic is that? a
Right,
question?
so I don't think you put grant monies if you're talking about
Well, no, but you know what I'm
trails
saying,
now.
I
You're
mean,
not gonna get any funding for
Right.
trails, for
but
bike
it
lanes. or-
brings the lesson home to the people that,
You have to make choices.
yeah,
Right.
they have to make
Yeah.
choices.
And number 9 may be totally off the wall, but a couple of people said that residents avoid the downtown and tourist season. Does that ring true? If it,
Maybe motorcycle weekend, but that's been.
yeah, we'll just scratch that then.
I think that's a
We have
very,
tourists?
very subjective
probably not.
commentary.
Day, I think I stay away from.
If
Yeah,
that's not,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there
if
are
that's not your
days,
sense, just scratch that.
I mean, Friday at noon in the summertime's not the best time for expediency to go through, but, so you go at 2.
Well, I can go from my house down to Langdon Street in probably 10 minutes. It takes me from Langdon Street to the town hall at least another 10 minutes. So,
about
with
right.
all the kids walking across the street, nonchalantly.
Well, that's a
That's-
different season.
that's another issue,
yeah, we
too.
have- we
Yeah.
have another season called academic season. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, similar to ideas for the survey, some of my ideas for other data gathering that I need to do, the parking study is one, gathering available traffic data
Great.
from the different things DOT has done. If you have any in your files that relate to the downtown from any business proposals, that'd be helpful. I mean, this is
In
two.
terms of. what
Anybody who's
specifically?
done counts, intersection analysis.
Oh, traffic.
Yeah, traffic.
Yeah, I do, but I'm sure it's obsolete. I mean, anything that's,
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a
kinda
compare and contrast, but anything that I ever used was DOT's counts. But
Yeah,
that would
okay.
also help, and this is an aside, NCC still has the contract with DOT for the traffic counts, the
Mhm.
tube counts.
Right.
Okay, so I don't know when the last time, we can find out the last time we had any specific counts here. I know we did on
Right.
Tenny Mountain, but I don't think downtown's been.
Well, I'm sure they
very-
did quite a bit when they put the roundabout in.
Well, that's what I was thinking,
Well,
is
that's
what
great.
was done before that
But
hasn't been done
That's
since.
been a while now, hasn't it?
It may have been, but it seems like it was like
Roundabout?
last year.
I don't think
Yeah,
things have changed
roundabout.
that much since.
Around
Probably not.
2005, was it?
Yeah.
Roundabout's
Was it
about
10 years ago?
2005, I believe so.
No.
Time flies.
I think it's been while I worked at North Kennedy.
I thought it was fairly new when I first got here, and I'm in my 6th year, so that makes the data a little bit old.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see, what we could put together on the before and
Yeah.
after.
6 to 10 years.
Well, just shoot me an email and I'll.
And we've
pull that,
already
see
put
what
in
I've
an
got.
inquiry to DOT, so.
Right.
I know that PSU did their own master plan.
Mhm.
I need still to look at that and maybe have some follow-up with them regarding their impact on the community. And we talked about having some focus group discussions, and
Yeah.
I was thinking that we should really specifically target one on the downtown businesses by having downtown business owners, but also owners, people involved in other successful downtowns, and I'd like them to look at the zoning, right? I mean, that's who needs to tell you.
I don't know why didn't, but, what about the Chamber of Commerce as far as like, and I was thinking about the businesses on both sides of the streets and stuff, and as far as, just
Hopefully
getting
they'd
a,
have that data.
you would think, yeah.
But I don't even know where they're physically located. What is it,
The
Central?
chamber?
The new reformed chamber?
I assume it's
Is that
still,
named
it's not in the
Oh,
enterprise?
it's Central New Hampshire?
Oh, that's right, you told me that last time.
No, but the name has changed, but
I
aren't they
couldn't
still
believe it.
located
I
in
don't
the
know.
Enterprise
I
Center?
don't get any
They're not?
I
information
think
from them.
it's, Isn't it along 28 now, exit 28?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I
Wow.
mean, it's become quite regional, which is fine,
Yeah.
but we've lost
Well,
track of it
well,
because it's not in
It's,
town anymore. so.
Yeah.
it's been quite a tough while.
Well, they might be able to do a short.
Well, they ought to have nice membership lists, so.
Right. Um, So some of the things that seem to me that would be ready to put in a plan would be to review the zoning to ensure that the things people value about the downtown are encouraged, and that, as you said, John, that Tenny Mountain Highway and the downtown are zoned to work together rather than against
Rather
each
than
other.
opposed to.
There certainly sounded like opportunity to strengthen the relationship between the town and PSU, and especially in terms of communications.
Have we invited anybody from Walmart? Remember one time I asked that question, and some of the people here said, yeah, it would be a good idea to have somebody.
On what subject?
About Tenny Mountain Highway and how it could be improved and what businesses they might think that might be good there.
Well, we would want to solicit input, I would think, from a lot of folks out there.
Did you do that when you did, you didn't go that far with the Tenny Mountain
Well,
corridor?
that time-
That was just looking at,
Yeah, at that time,
Yeah.
Tenny Mountain Highway wasn't.
that might make sense as
I-
kind of a
Joint,
counterpart to the
a joint
downtown.
venture with both, no? You don't
No,
think so?
but a two-part,
Okay, a two-part.
a two-part. I think that's a good
No, that's
idea
fine.
to,
You don't really have a lot of
Hear that too.
representation out there, because Walmart's probably the only, and Tractor Supply maybe, are the only
well, we
two
can we
large.
could invite all of them and see. One of the recommendations that I think everybody agreed on at the workshop were that maps and signage to make sure that people know about the recreation facilities in town would be helpful. That's always very popular when towns do that. I thought exploring kind of a buy local campaign,
They've done that.
they
I
have,
think that's a fairly strong effort in place.
They've worked with PSU to strengthen
Sustainability.
that.
Yeah.
They've
Is
been working
it-
on it for about 5
is-
years.
Is there any way that we could get a representative from Littleton to come in and talk to us about this? Because Littleton and Plymouth are almost sister towns with the large box stores, and I know one of them has gone out now, but the main street's pretty active, and it could be pretty, we aren't a little island by ourselves. We should be able to ask somebody else, maybe an official or something like that, to come down and tell us what the good and bad points
I
are.
think it's a good idea, but nobody really comes to mind that would be.
Well, it might
No,
be-
they're
might be a-
less the town administrator right now, they don't have a planner. I mean, maybe
Right.
their chamber or something, I mean, and there are a lot of similarities geographically and this and that. However, we do have a university and they do not, but they have a big industrial park, which is very, very vital.
Right.
So,
I'd trade the town industrial park any day for a college.
Tell me more about the buy local campaign. You said working on it for 5 years. What are they doing? What's going on?
that's something, I wish Steve Whitman was here because he's been very active in that. Well, there's a whole sustainability network in the general region, but we also have down at the senior center, the local farmers market, which I think is fairly comprehensive.
Yeah, that's
It's
called
kind of
local,
on a
local
sub-rosa
foods
level.
Plymouth.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's right.
And they have a number of people on staff. And
But it's not necessarily a whole buy local, like go to your local hardware store and.
Yeah, they registered, they had all the businesses on Main Street, they asked,
How come
This
I
is
haven't seen
outside of Main
anything
Street.
on it? So
and I think the chamber is the one that's spearheading it, or is it just local?
I don't know, because we
Main
don't
Street.
get a lot of communication.
I mean, they put a ton of effort into it.
Yeah.
I know that.
I mean, I think that might be the basis of buy local in terms of foodstuffs but there's artisan stuff. It's kind of a backdoor into buy local, not backdoor, but it's not shop
I
down.
think there's room for some further development on that.
Were you invited to?
Oh, yeah, I was signed up for it, and then it kind of, nothing seemed to, I didn't get any business from it, but then the college called up, and they had all the names that were registered, and they came in and they sat down with me for about an hour, asking me questions
What
and
was this? I'm sorry.
re-registering.
I
By the
missed-
whole buy local program, which was this huge thing that
But when, Mike? Ballpark?
4 years ago, the college came in and sat down with
Oh, I
me.
remember.
And they met with all the business owners, put a ton of time and effort.
That's
And with
in-
the college students.
That's downtown?
All businesses, it wasn't just downtown, because I was outside of town, obviously. But I was enrolled in the program for $50. And you had to tell them what you were willing to do for your program. You were gonna be listed, and people knew to go there. They had little stickers to put on, and then signs to put in your storefront. It was,
Do you know the count of the?
but I didn't have anybody show up.
Of the vendors, where they come from in this farmer's market? Because when I was going up there, most of them were from Haverhill,
The
different.
vendors,
Yeah.
they're from, as far away as Bristol,
In
Holderness.
Campton.
Alexandria.
The number of vendors from Plymouth, because if you're gonna buy local, you're gonna have to have vendors that are local. If you have vendors that are outside, that's not local money.
They're,
Well,
quite
to
a
me,
few.
Holderness is a local.
Yeah, I know. Plymouth is well represented there too, but the bar is not very hard to meet. I think you pay $10 to open a table or something like
We had a
that.
booklet given to us recently that I took home, but on that kind of thing,
Yeah,
there's
find
a
out what's going on.
directory. I'll try to remember to get it and give it to you, Tara.
The other thought, I mean, people talked a lot about that the town needs more marketing so that people see that it's a town that has it all and a gateway to the White Mountains and all. And
We haven't lacked for any,
Hmm?
we're busy.
yeah,
You're talking about-
I was surprised somebody would say that.
Like, to encourage businesses to move here, is that what you're saying?
didn't sound like
More
that's
like a
what,
destination type thing?
yeah,
Yeah, I heard
That's what-
them, they have comments to like that effect at the visioning session.
right.
Yeah,
That,
Of what, Steve?
that no one knows about how great Plymouth is, we gotta tell people how great Plymouth is so they'll come here.
To shop? You're
Yeah,
saying?
it's tourism, I got, was the impression I got from those comments, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I heard.
Well,
Yes.
you know, years ago, Plymouth was a great tourist town because that was a stop from Boston to Plymouth. They stayed overnight and then they went in the White Mountains.
Yeah.
But you get over on 93 now and you see how much tourists come here to Plymouth. They about 80 miles an hour going right up.
But I think there's opportunity to work with tourism marketing groups and the scenic
Well, the Scenic
byway,
Byways
which
initiative.
is
those-
fresh in my mind because I'm writing a scenic
So
byway
one
plans.
question
but-
might be, do you want to encourage tourism in Plymouth? That would be a survey question.
Yeah,
Does Plymouth need more tourism, or does it
Good.
need more businesses, or does it need more industry?
what
Or
kind of growth? Is it tourism? Is it residence? Is it business?
That was one thing that, see, before 93 went through, everybody had to come through Plymouth. We had like 20,000 people in
Captive
downtown
audience.
Plymouth. But now they're on 93 and Plymouth has nothing to offer them. They don't have the mountains, they don't have a lake, for tourism. They don't have any mountain hiking or any of that stuff.
But you know what? People love nice little downtowns that
Yeah.
have easy access to all of those
I
things.
just a very unscientific survey. The few times that I get out during the day, there's a lot of out-of-state plates and tourists parked on Main Street. You can just
Yeah.
tell by what they're wearing and how full the cars are. They're on their way to somewhere, and they are stopping here. But
It may not be horribly major, but you got Polar Caves, you got the Museum of the White Mountains, you got like the university, art galleries. I mean, there's a lot of stuff
That's
that's
a selective group that's
for
Well,
each opportunity.
But you know, the reason that there's everybody in Coos County saying, oh, nobody comes up here is because they don't have those things.
transportation, yeah.
No, they don't have any museum or restaurant or.
Well, but they do have the White Mountains, they do have canoeing rivers, they do
Right,
have.
but for the most
Wow.
part, people want some variety and they want the arts and culture piece too.
But with the
So-
new hotel going in, maybe that will
That will, you know, at least bring people
have
to
a
the
place
area.
to stay.
Yeah, and then
So,
focus on things to do.
so I
around.
think that you hit the nail on the head of the survey asking what kind of growth, and then make sure that your zoning is steering things that way.
Now, how do you get this survey out?
The town's gonna give me, labels for every property owner and voter.
And that has nothing to do with the tourist. And my idea of it is they should get some students up there and pass them out and let people, because you'll have a cross-section at that point. Because majority of the people in Plymouth are either working for the university or connected to the university. So you don't have that part that is the people coming in from Lebanon and so forth like that to Walmart. So, you know, to get a cross-section, you've got to get these surveys out, and you know, the best way to get them out.
This is for the town of Plymouth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's for more of a marketing thing, I
Right.
would think, John.
Yeah, but what is this master plan has to do to improve the marketing in the overall Plymouth?
Well, the first step is to see what direction residents and property owners want to go. And then if it was tourism, then you might recommend in the master plan that kind of marketing study. I don't think you could get permission to have students hand things out, but you certainly could put survey cards, easy survey, like we did with the regional plan, we had a box and a 2-question card, we would put it in. You could put those in restaurants and shops and
I'm thinking,
places that tourists go.
I'm thinking we're gonna have this survey and we can go to the property owners and the town voting lists. But I think it'd be very easy, rather than printing cards up, that we just use social media to get as much information we can.
Yeah.
And circulate that through the college community.
Right,
And that could be our way to,
That's more the norm.
we could set up, I don't know whether that part of your thing, to set up a separate Facebook page that could encourage the university, students and faculty that live outside of Plymouth.
I'm just kind of drawing from my experience because I worked for a Valley Lake Sunapee.
Right?
Yeah.
So should we be reaching out to that group as well?
It's the
Theoretically, we're gonna, there's a lot, with regard to the hospital, we're not like Hitchcock. So, I mean,
No.
you know, it's a lot of like local people are working at Spear and they stay.
Spear's
stay
not a
around.
teaching hospital.
No.
Right, no.
Actually, now it's a critical access hospital. It's kind of like diminished.
A ton of people come into Plymouth to work and go out at night.
I do.
You step
I
on
shop here, but I know.
175 and you look at Route 25 at 5 o'clock, no, about 6:30, then there's a steady stream of traffic going out of town.
So let's try to think of how we can get kind of a Survey Monkey link to all the major employers, not just the college, but also on the resident survey, let's ask how long. I mean, it's typical to ask how long they lived here, but let's ask how long they plan to as well.
Right, it's a good question.
I had pulled something, I don't know where it came from, but the town of Lincoln is updating their 2003 master plan. I was gonna pass this out when we got more specific about surveys. But they've got a Survey Monkey survey, and it would be interesting to see what did you ever see it? 'Cause I got-
No, they've been working on it for
A while.
2 planners ago.
Oh, well, there you go. But I don't know if.
It's awful long.
Yeah.
So they have a really detail-oriented plan.
Could we get somebody from Centipede, if
Yeah,
that's
they have
college
Carol
town,
Bott.
to talk about their wishes and
I missed what you said.
could we get somebody to come up and talk to us about Centipede or some a town that's similar to Plymouth? To say what some of their problems are, so that we might not duplicate them?
Oh,
Or
that's
a
not
town that's
Clifton.
recently updated their master plan.
Yeah, I just, you know, we're an island, that's it. And all we do is get the local information, and
This isn't
90%
bad.
of that is either hospital or college, so, you know.
Can I have this?
Is that a question there?
I love, you know, detailed information.
I think we gotta leave it in the pros' hands and see what
Yeah,
she,
I mean, that you kind of get that by hiring North Country Council, because I've written a lot of plans for a lot of different kinds of
Yeah.
towns, so
Yeah,
I
that's
can
okay.
kind of bring you that experience and knowledge too. Actually, I worked on one edition of Hanover's plan.
What my feeling is this master plan is running right into the other master plan. 80% of it is downtown. You look at that survey, and 80% of those.
well, I think we did a whole study just on Tenny Mountain Highway.
But we don't incorporate that.
Oh, yeah, that will be all
Yeah.
referenced and
Rolling it up in the,
that's why we did it, because we wanted to make sure we did the Tenny Mountain master plan before we did the entire town.
Yeah,
So,
won't that be part of your master plan? Won't you want to adopt it as part of your master plan?
It makes some recommendations.
Right,
Mostly transportation oriented, but that's the major problem.
right.
What's that?
The road being clogged and lots of
I
access
don't see
points.
too many places are being clogged, I'll tell you, anywhere near what downtown is.
Oh, it's not the
The
same. as
main thing
downtown.
I heard at the workshop was people don't feel safe if they walk out there or bike.
Well,
I didn't hear about,
The businesses are so far apart that, you know, you go to get a hamburger at McDonald's, and you wanna go to Walmart, you gotta have your hiking boots on.
it's a different it's serving a different need, and I think that's what we need to dig into a little bit in the survey and make sure that the zoning supports those different needs. If you put Hanover and Lebanon together,
Right, it's like Tenny Mountain downtown.
You have
and
both.
Tenny Mountain, yeah, we do it.
you have West Lebanon's 12A and you have downtown
Yeah.
Hanover.
And I don't know if we want to encourage a lot of pedestrian traffic on Tenny Mountain Highway. It sounds,
It isn't. People
But if
don't-
you don't plan for it, it's gonna have to come later, and that's
It
what they're
will.
going
Yeah. You
through. I
look
mean,
at
that's a
West Leb.
lot of money in West Lebanon.
does West Leb have pedestrian walkways along?
It's being added as they do improvements and bike lanes, and they're dangerous bike lanes, but they had to add them as part of the new.
So I just look at
pieces.
that road and
I would 100% rather bike, and I do biking, bike out on Tenny Mountain Highway than I would down here in town Plymouth, with people backing out and everything else. That is a dangerous place down in Plymouth, when you're biking through that. You know, you've got
that's
to
why I think it's
watch,
important to
you
develop.
gotta watch the
Green
kids
Street
in front of you and the cars
To
beside
develop-
you. and-
Green Street, which has had much studies over the last 20
Oh,
years. or so.
yeah.
I would love to help.
Okay, great.
I'm not gonna help.
I'd love to help.
Okay.
Crap it all a
Well,
bit.
then we're back to this kind of, this
Committee.
happened and that happened, and I don't really get the specifics that I'm gonna do for.
The problem with myself is I've always felt is over Tenny Mountain Highway. The last planning board had it so that they had sex shops and 10 warehouses, and that's in the actual, master plan out on Tenny Mountain Highway. And I don't think that they have ever had the attention that downtown does. And in fact, and just let me talk just for a minute, back in '66, the college said, either we are going to move out on Tenny Mountain Highway, put our university up on the bluff, and put our athletic fields down below, or we are going to take the center of Plymouth out. You know, all of the people in downtown said, oh my God, no, because we'll be just a desert down here in town, a skeleton town down here. So guess what? The college took the center of Plymouth out.
If everybody wants to be part of actually working on the writing of the survey, we can just, have that be what we do at the next meeting, but
I'll just
What
provide
I-
criticism.
And that's what I think
I
our
need-
goal for the rest of the board would be.
Yeah.
I think we can go through it a little bit quicker if we have a very small surgical group of,
I don't think we can get any smaller.
I need help writing it. I don't have the
Right.
specifics that you do.
Right. I would very much like to be
I
involved.
mean, I can draft something that has some questions and some possible choices, but it will need a lot of other
Right.
possible choices added and taken out and so
Bill, your
forth.
hand went up first. Are you still interested?
Yeah.
So, did you say 2 people or how many?
Two would,
be
yeah,
ideal?
be ideal.
And then the board can then look at it after to still
Oh,
make
yeah.
whatever changes they
Oh,
want to
yeah,
after.
but I need help making the draft survey before it gets that review by the board.
That would be great. Where are you thinking that we would meet?
Oh, I can come to Plymouth.
All right. I could.
Or,
make
or
myself-
do maybe we can get pretty far by email too.
Yeah.
That's true.
So.
Or even a
who's
conference
gonna be
call.
on this?
I said I would, and I think Bill was the first one.
Just
After
to
that.
make the form.
Just the first
The
draft,
form,
yeah,
The first draft,
just the first draft.
and then the board adds to it or deletes.
Right, and it won't go out until the whole board is good with it. But all the knowledge of the specifics, just a working draft of a vision, set of vision statements. And this will grow and evolve and change as we work on the plan. It's not time to wordsmith it, but it is time to say, does this ring true? Is this kind of what you guys heard at that workshop? Is it your sense of things? Is it the right direction? Is it the right feel? That's kind of my question
Right,
tonight.
it's the last page of what Tara gave us.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, it's page 9.
Which is what you had
This.
emailed.
But it
Correct.
was emailed too, but does it sound like Plymouth? Is it what you heard at the workshop? And a lot of these things are true now. So, envisioning a future where the positive things stay intact.
It's funny.
So looking forward to more of the same into the future.
I think when you talk about Tenny Mountain Highway in that one paragraph towards the bottom, I think there were some issues that were brought up in the Tenny Mountain Corridor study about that there is some congestion, there is some unsafe intersections. And so I wouldn't say there's no traffic congestion.
Well, it's.
But this is the vision for the future,
Okay, yes.
right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So you'd want that gone.
Yes, okay, I get it now.
Okay, so this is where we're gonna end up.
Right. But I was just trying to make the point that it's not entirely different than where you are. You have some of these things
There's a
now.
lot of things already accomplished.
Right. Like downtown Plymouth is a fun, attractive place for entertainment and so forth. And you have a range of housing choices.
So just stepping back a little bit. So the master plan, the revised master plan is a document that the planning board is going to use to evaluate future developments as they come to town, right? So we're going to take.
Well, not directly. You use it to, it translates into your zoning. You implement the master plan through your zoning, but you don't review a specific development against the master plan, because it's not regulatory.
Well, we had, so for example, when the hotel, this big development out here in the floodplain, in the environmental sensitive zone, the hotel, all that stuff, we had many members of the public stand up time and time again and say, no one looked at the master plan. You
It's
let
not-
this go through without looking at the master
It's
plan.
not regulatory, though.
No, but the residents in the town see the master plan as a guiding document that what's in the plan should be taken into consideration when you make decisions, right? I mean, that's the whole purpose, otherwise why have it?
Because you implement it with the zoning.
But there was
And
also,
site plan regs
the
and-
master plan, if you remember, there was some contradiction in the last iteration of the master plan. It was development on Tenny Mountain Highway. I mean, I'm just trying to remember. It spoke to specifically one side or the other in some places, but it was a little bit contradictory. It's like, that's where our future growth is going to occur and this and that. and then it was like no development
Right, I
out
agree,
there,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like, it
But
was,
still, when a development is in front of you, you have the zoning, the subdivision
Right,
regulations,
right.
and the site plan review regulations. You can't base your decision on the master plan
They wanna-
directly.
But that doesn't stop
Well-
people from jumping up and waving the master
no,
plan
but it's
around.
Right.
specific, it also, this is another variable, I think Tara will agree that, you know, you could speak about Tenny Mountain Highway and West Plymouth, but that's a lot of area, and usually your development, and of course it's all interrelated, but it is site-specific, so you can't have, the applications that come before you are site-specific. Yes, you build momentum or whatever, and you can create a linear development of the same thing, but that's where the individual real-time analysis of what's in front of you comes in.
Right, I understand all that.
No, I know you
My-
understand
Yeah,
that.
my point is that people, the residents in Plymouth are expecting that master plan to impact decisions that we make directly, not indirectly through zoning. That's my impression of the people that got up and speak at these public hearings.
And I think the planning board did follow the master plan. It's just that the master plan might have been a little bit more vague and spoke to both sides a little bit,
Okay,
whereas
so-
they were telling us to ignore the regulations and just go with one
Right.
part of the master plan that backed up
And
what
you
they said.
can't-
We couldn't do that.
No.
Right, I guess this is kind of not exactly what I mean to say. So when we reviewed the previous master plan at the first session, right? We went through and did we do this? No. Did we do that? No. This was contradictory, that was contradictory. It was a
Right.
huge unworkable document with a great.
Right, it
history,
didn't
right?
translate into zoning changes for the most part.
Right, and nothing happened with it, right? So now we're gonna get ready to make a new master plan and have it much more focused and less contradictory. And it's going to be devised to derive zoning changes. Is that the primary purpose?
It's a
Part of
guideline,
it.
zoning changes are one of the tools, but it could also be more grants and more community involvement. I mean, zoning is your biggest tool, but it's not the only tool.
Okay, I'm just trying to see how this is gonna become a working document, because we went through the list, we said, oh, Conservation Commission was supposed to survey all the lands in town. Did they do it? No. Why didn't they do it? Because no one told them to do it, or no, the select board didn't check in.
Strong recommendations that the next go-around to simplify the master plan. And that's hopefully what we'll be able to do this go-around, and not, hamstring ourselves by all these things that we have to get done. That's guide, that's all it's
Yeah, I
supposed
don't
to be.
disagree. I'm just trying to look ahead towards the end of this process to see what we're gonna end up with and what use it's gonna be.
Well, just kind of throw out one thing, of the 5 recommendations that came to my mind as I was looking through the workshop results, 1 has to do with zoning, 1 you said is already being done, and 3 don't have to do with zoning, so, I mean, it's a variety of things. It's
I
not
mean,
all zoning.
some of the master plan recommendations, if you will, what becomes the philosophy of it, have different options on how to implement. Like, do we need a grant? Do we need to look into timber tax, whatever? I mean, under the regulations, there's a lot of different methods that can be used to accomplish a lot of the recommendations, because the recommendations, although they may fit together for a wonderful town, they're somewhat disparate. I mean, maybe we need a further study, like Tara said, which I think we do, parking. It's a blueprint. It's a blueprint, but each item is the separate page of the particular, lighting, not literally, but the particular venue. I can't try to explain it.
So I like the working draft, the vision for Plymouth that you put together. I think that's, looks good.
Good start.
Yeah,
Mm.
so are we,
No, I was just gonna say, and just to remember that, time is changing, as everyone knows, as we go along. So this is why the updates come in, because as you found out, what you're looking at now, when you come to your next update, may be accomplished, it may be obsolete, it may be needing more. So this is why we perpetually have to go back and re-quantify, if you will, what the philosophy of the town is.
And there's different schools of thought on whether a master plan should be a policy document or an action plan with a lot of detail. I think there's there's pros and cons to each. I think, but when I look at your master plan, there was just so much in the action plan. I mean, I think it can be helpful to identify who's supposed to do it and in what time frame, but I think it probably overwhelmed people.
Yeah, I think when people came to town and they said, well, we're regulations, and I don't think anybody, when they got a master plan in front of them, really did a lot of reading, and it was just, like you just said, it's overwhelming.
Right.
And if we can simplify that to make it more usable, that would be great.
Strategies rather than
Yeah.
all those specifics.
Tasks.
It's how I did the regional plan, and it seems to be pretty well accepted. People are happy with that. I did it in strategies. It seemed like the right level to be talking about.
And John made a good point that we're not just an island, and we need to bring in outside expertise, and I'm glad you're here helping us.
All right, so I'll be looking for a lot of
Great.
help from all of you as we put the survey together.
And we'll see you back on the 3rd, generally speaking. the first
Probably. I have
Thursday.
to,
Oh, well,
I have to confirm that the week before.
Okay. But we'll anticipate it, and if it doesn't fly, then we'll work
Right.
something else out. But-
And we'll be in communication
Yeah.
with us, so, good.
I'll send out a very holy
Sketchy
draft
draft.
in a week.
Sounds good.
Wait, 2 weeks.
Sharon, do you want to hold on to the minutes so you can pass them back out at the next meeting when we can approve and have a quorum? Or do you
No.
want us to bring it up?
Well, I was gonna keep that.
All right, so that brings us
Please.
to.
All right, good night.
Thank you, Tara.
Good night, thanks,
Thank you,
Tara.
Tara.
Item number 6, correspondence paperwork.
No,
Okay, unfinished and other business?
no.
Seeing no public, is there a,
Move we adjourn.
all right, the meeting is 7:35.
Well done.